All right, loves, make sure that your name is at the top, please. Let's have you hand those up and over now. Make sure your name is at the top. By the way, some of us are getting a little lazy with this. Make sure there's a -3 after it. It helps us make sure that your stuff, if ever separated from the pile, gets back to the right one. Make sure, please, that you sign. Oh, I don't think you can sign into your calculators yet. Sorry. Go in right now. Please make sure your notes are out and open to day 6 of stuff. That means you do that now. This is our last day. Next time we have class, it's going to be review. And then after that, we are going to, and the stuff today is a little bit more calculator based than some of the other stuff you've done previously. But make sure, please, that you've got your notes out and your calculator signed in. We will be going through and reviewing the answers to quiz in just a second. By the way, who can tell me where, did everyone hand theirs in? Who can tell me where questions 3 and 4 came from? No takers at all, where 3 and 4 came from. They should look very familiar. Which homework? Which day? Tell me the page so all these people who didn't do the work can go through and find where it is. Go over, please, to page 20. And by the way, what page are we on now? 31. So it's 2 days ago I picked a bunch of questions from. Take a look. Which page? If we're on 20, did you say 28? Okay. What numbers did I go through and take? 54 was taken, which is one of the ones you had to go through and do. What other one? Does anybody remember the other one that was up there? Yeah. What's that? 45. So all of you should have, the only one in all honesty that I thought was a little bit of a challenge for you would be question 2, because that's one that you can't use some calculator to get around. You should have been able to go through, though, and get all of your answers checked, etc. Looking at what we have, these were 2 of the answers from before. Here is the first 2. Looking at that, that's just converting it around. It goes based to the answer is equal to the argument. If that's how you want to go through and view it, that's fine. Remember, it's this number to this power gives me that value. Okay, so that's what your setup is for the first one. For the second one, there's more than one way that you could get here, and this person showed multiple ways of getting it. That you've got to break 20 down using, or get 20 from 2s and 5s. So that would be natural log of 4. Did anyone do it a different way to get to here? You could have broken this down right away into something else, a little bit equivalent. What do you want to say? 2 times 2 times 5 is going to get you the same thing. 2 times 2 times 5 will give you the same thing. Now, over here there was some casual algebra mistakes. You should be able to. Each one of these is 4 points. So this is 4, this is 4. Now, this one is the one that's interesting because if you don't see it, some people start going, oh, I got it wrong, my life is over. Look at what's here. Let's figure out where your mistake is, because if you kept doing correct work after one mistake, some of you might even see on your test, people always ask this, who saw on their exam, or any test that they've had back, says, okay, AF? Who has seen that on a test before? None of you? All right. Well, when you see that on a paper, that means okay after a mistake you made. So it's like you screwed up part A of a question, but you answered everything else right based on the wrong stuff in A. You don't lose credit all the way down. This is one of those cases. The first thing, there's 4 points for this question. First thing up is to see, did you condense that down correctly? That's 1 point. The second thing is, did you exponentiate this? Meaning, did you get, once you got to this point, you condensed it down, exponentiate, say 2 to the 4th gives me that amount. Getting here gives me 2. Solving and getting to these 2 answers gets me 3. What gets me 4 is checking to see if the answer rejects or not. So even if you didn't get it correct, you can still get partial credit. So if maybe you got, some people were somehow getting the wrong quadratic here, like they were making a mistake and saying maybe it was 2 times. The one I kept seeing was that this was equal to 4. So somehow maybe they dropped the base or something. I'm not really sure. In any case, if you had a 4 here, you got some quadratic. So getting to this would get you 1, and then you'd have to solve it, but then you'd get answers that were both rejected. And you'd write no solution if that's what you got. You can either get 1 or 4 or 1 or 2 points easily from not having the right answer. And this last one, is this exactly the same as 53 or 54? Can you go back and check? Is it? I don't think I changed anything. In any case, you're solving for the p, so what you've got to recognize that this right here is an actual number value. How would you solve for the p-value or the initial amount? Divide that over. So if you don't know your formulas, obviously that makes it difficult for you to be successful. But I tried to make it, especially for those of you who've actively been doing the homework and looking to get it right, it's difficult not to be doing at least well on it. A good score, I'd say, well, a good score before you freak out is probably anything above a 12 out of 16. Because that means you got 3 out of 4 of the questions right. If you got a multiple choice wrong, then it's 12. If you got the first 2 multiple choices right, I honestly expect you to be getting a 14 out of 16 then, because it's understandable at least to miss 2 points down below. But if you miss one of the multiple choices, you should have gotten these other ones done here. And this was someone else's. I think they did everything the same though. Okay. Yeah, they did 2 times 2 times 5. They sort of worked recursively. But in any case, that's what we got to. Questions on that? All right. Just so you know, also this was up there. Your exam, I think your exam is going to fall on Monday. Is that right? Take a look at your calendar on the front. When does it happen? Your exam's going to be on Thursday? Okay. So depending on the day rotation, it is going to be in quarter 2. I'm making the exam now. And one thing that for some reason, I don't know, if only there was a way that I could go through and get you to write down some sort of extra formula that's probably going to be super important for you to know, maybe for the test. I would put it up there with like blinking lights around it or something like that to indicate that it was significant, and you probably would want to find some space, maybe at the bottom of the first page of the notes, something that lets you know that that's going to be there. Again, you all remember what it was like, by and large, from our conversations, getting to the last question last year and saying I didn't know how to do it. Well, I went through and said, all right, this question is referenced and not, or sorry, this formula is referenced and not given on a Regents exam, so maybe I'll go through and ask that question and give you out what this formula is now. So if you put pencil to paper now, you make sure that you get this down, you've got a place to go through and reference it, and you need to know what all these things are. This is the actual half-life equation. So, and this is something, I don't know if they do this, or are any of you taking chemistry now? Is that what you take now? Do you reference this or not? Okay, this is a half-life equation. They might have a different one or give you one themselves. But in any case, you need to know what this is, because one of the bigger questions on the test is going to ask you to go through and solve it. Maybe. And again, the last thing that I want you to do is get to a question. It's understandable to get to a question and say, oh, I can't remember what that formula is, versus getting to a question going, we never covered this. And we don't want you to get there. So that requires, obviously a lot more extra work from you all. So make sure, please, that we have this down. Questions on this? All right. Have your notes out and make sure you check off. Today is what's today? Day 6. Okay, so today's the 24th. All right. And what page are we on in the notes? 31. Great. We are going to have to work quickly because we spent some time going over the quiz. So make sure, please, that you have this down, though. What I need you to do is, as soon as you get to these questions, by the way, understand, are they going to be interesting? Yes or no? No. Are they going to be long? Yes. Is there a lot of language in them? Yes. Is some of it garbage language that you don't need for the question? Yes. The whole point is for you to read and pull out information. I need you right now, please, to read and answer out the A question for this. So read right now and answer out A. Make sure you sign it to your calculators if you haven't already. Go through right now and answer A. looking at what we have for that, what would we do to answer out this question? Eli, what do we have to, what's required of us to answer out this question? Mm-hmm. And what do you have to do once you have those values? Mm-hmm. So with the population 2005 minus the population in 2000, and then what do you do once you get that answer? Yeah, we've got to divide it by the change in time, which in this case would be from 2005 minus 2000. So you're going to go into your calculators now, and we need to pull out some values. So make sure, please, that you go through and log in when we do this out. Now, this person right here has both of the values as their most recent entries. Could you have done this, by the way, by putting a X here and doing the little bar evaluation trick? That's fine, too. When you do this out now, we need to compute that out, the expression that we had there. So do control division and take the function in 2005 minus the function in 2000. Now, someone was doing this previously, and they got an actual wrong answer. Don't use, hang on, delete what's there. Don't use rounded values. Go up and pull up, and it's less typing. All you do is arrow up 3 times maybe, highlight that big entry. Okay, now minus. And then go select this one here. All over, down below you put 2005 minus 2000. Press enter. Now, you could have done this a different way also and just used these values. Either one is fine. What do I need to see on your paper? I need you to show me how you got this answer. So, let's see if somebody who did, oh, you all picked the answers from before. Here, this person here has got it the way that almost I would expect, I guess, to see this done out on your paper. Screen. Calculator. Now, when we're talking about the work that needs to be on your paper, in order to get full credit, it's this. This is what my expectation for you is to show on your paper. That's it. How much arithmetic did you have to do in order to get your answer? Nothing. It's applying a concept. Now, this, though, is not going to get you full credit. Christina, can you tell me why? If this is what I get on the read, you're getting, actually, you might, if this is 1 point, you wouldn't get the point. Oh, you're saying convert it into millions? I say you could if you wanted to, but I don't think that that's it. Do you have another thing you were going to say or no? Who's got one that they want to change? We can leave it in those units of millions of people. We need it to the nearest 100. So what would you give as your final? Nope. Oh, what did you say? 1.60? 16. Yes. Here's your final answer. Questions on that? Now, take a look at the second part. Based on this model, the solution to that equation gives you the number of years it will take country A to reach 50 million. Algebraically determine the set exactly and as a decimal. So, and then we're going to confirm it graphically. So this is asking you to do 3 things. Determine it exactly, then as a decimal to the thousands, and then confirm it with a graph. So there's technically 3 things going on there. But you're solving it algebraically, getting the answer through the graph. Looking at what's there, what's the equation that I'm actually going to go through and be setting up or solving out? 1 person, 2 of us, 3. Read what's there. What's the equation we would go through and set up to solve? Erica, do you know? No? We're not going to plug in a 50. Here's an easy, well, let's start off with this. P of t is equal to 50. One of these I can replace with something. What's a swap out, something that's equivalent to, in this equation that I can make a replacement on? No? No? We're setting that equal to it. And I'm sorry, what was it? 027? 027t. 7t equals 50. Right? That's what P of t is the same as. What is P of t equal to? It defined it right in the beginning. P of t, this and this are the same thing. So you're telling me when does this function equal 50? By the way, look at P of t. What type of model is P of t? Let's go back to that. What type of model is P of t? Look at the function P of t in the original. What type of model is it? Seriously? No one can tell me what type? Oh my, we don't know our models. What category of model does that fall under? It's continuous growth. Who can tell me what the continuous growth rate is going to be? Look at the equation. Robbie, what do you say? What's your continuous growth rate going to be? Yeah, 2.7%. Now, looking at what's there, what do we do now to solve for the t value? Divide both sides by 40. So now, at this point, I would have e to the 0.027t is equal to 5 over 4 or 1.25. That doesn't matter. Now, once we get to here, what would we have to go through and do in order to solve for the t? You are stuck, and there is a roadblock currently. We've got 3 people who can tell me. You have to get past this, because if you don't know what to do here, you will not do well on the exam. You are very, very behind. Look at what's here. What are you going to do to solve this out? See? You're going to, or, I'm going to say this. I'm going to write it out. Well, tell me what to write out. You're right, as of now, that we can go through and use a natural log. What am I writing now? She's absolutely right. Others of you can say something else and also be correct. What else can you say that's equivalent but the same is what we're at right now? Nick, it's another way you could list this out.
Log of e by 4 equals 0.0217.
Now, here's the part that always makes me laugh, because you want to go right to the calculator now. You don't understand that typing all this in and all these multiple steps is actually more work. By the way, it's going to give you some long decimal, and that's not even an exact answer. So right now, pick one of these two. Which one, let's ask this. Captain, which equation do you want to use? Do you want to use this one or this one? It doesn't matter. The natural log one? What do you need to do in order to isolate the variable, or the t, in the natural log equation? No, because you're to here right now. What? No, you're trying to get the t by itself. So t, according to what she just told us, t is equal to the natural log of 5 over 4, and then divide that by 0.027. This right here, did we do any rounding to get that answer? This is your exact answer. That's your exact. How can I get the decimal approximation to it to the thousandth position? You go into your calculator. So, let's go into our calculators. Do control division, natural log of 5 over 4, divide by 0.027, press enter. By the way, what else could you have done? Do control division, log base e of 5 over 4. Do that out, please. Control division, log base e of 5 over 4. And then divide that by 0.027. Type both of them in to make sure so you can visually see it's going to give you the same answer. So please, all of us go through and type that in. Now, how can I check to see if the answer I did is correct? Well, when you do this out, it's telling you to confirm it graphically. I'm going to show you why the end solve, or where the calculator gets the end solve from. But if we're doing this out graphically, go in right now, please, and just add a new page. You don't need to always go through and do a ton of work. Go Go in right now. Now add a graph. And we're going to find where, and go back and look at the original. You're trying to solve this using the graph or to confirm it graphically. Go back up, please, in F1. Arrow up, please, because this, yeah. All right. So we might actually want a new page. Delete what's in F1. Well, yeah, just so we're all on the same page. Delete what's in F1, 2, and 3. If there's other stuff in there, delete what's in there. In any case, what you're going to need to go through and do now is you're going to take and find where the left side and the right side are equal to each other. In geometry terms, that's finding where they intersect. That's, by the way, what you should be doing. So, go in right now, please, and plug in 1/2 of the equation that we just solved in F1, and plug in the other half in F2. So go in right now. And what was it, 40e to some power, right, 0.027 t or something like that? Or don't use t's, by the way, use x's. Now, that's one of them. Now, the second one that you're going to graph is what? 50. Yeah, that's the other half of the equation. And we're going to find when they cross. Now, somebody very well may be going to MIT for this. And the first section goes, I don't see that they cross. You're right. Who can tell me why any reasonable person looking at this should say, yeah, obviously these aren't going to be, we're not going to see where they cross. Look at the equation. Who can tell me why I'm not going to see where these cross? We got 2 people, that's it. Not too many to check the others. Yeah, how high do we need to go? Now, by the way, now we're going to go into, let's go into our window settings. We're not going to do some Zoom stupid. Go into our window settings. Now, how high up, what do you want to change? Let's ask that. For what? Which one? Am I changing the max on the actual one? Why? How high up do I need to go to find out where these cross? Hands up, please, when you can tell me what you want your Y max to be. Somebody new. The trap doors aren't underneath you. It's not going to open up and you drop it to some fiery pit if you get it wrong. What do you want to say? What's that? 75? Sure. And guess what? If you're wrong, you know what happens? You put in a new number. Also, Maddie's going to punch you in the back of the head. Maddie, by the way, that's your job. If anybody messes up today, got it? You get to punch it for me. Now, oh my goodness, look at that. Shocker. Now, I actually see things in here I don't want to see them. And this is me putting the question in context. What do I see right now that I actually don't want to see? What's your words? The negative what? The negative x numbers. Why do I not care what's happening in quad 2? Who can tell me why I don't care what's happening in quadrant 2? Yeah? No? That means I'm not in quads 3 and 4. Because the people are the output. We can't have negative years. You can't have negative people. They're very grouchy. Now, let's go in, change our... Now, I look at that. This person knows clearly what's going on. How can I find where these are equal to each other now? What would I have to do to find where these are equal? What? Find where they intersect. Let's do the geo. Finally, we found a use for geometry. Go choose 8. Oh, this way is going to take a little bit longer. I asked this. Get whomever this is. Escape out of this. Go back and reselect it as doing it through geo. We're going to see why in just a second. So points and lines. Go down to 1. Find the intersection. Now, this is going to, you do have to click on them. And some of you, we're going to see this come out to confirm. So, yeah, 1. Select the other one, if you haven't already. Now, you've got that. Some people are going, well, I need more spaces. Does it say, how many places does it say? 1,000. Already I know that's not acceptable. Why is that not acceptable? It only goes to the hundredth. Now, some people said before, and they were right, because I stink at these calculators also. They go, I can't get it to make the little claw, and I can't hit the plus. Fine. Watch this. Go into menu. Go down to settings. Let's change how far the decimal goes. It's only showing 3 digits. Let's make it show 12. Go down to flow 12. We'll make an absurd amount of digits shown. Insane amount. Go down then and hit OK, and watch what happens. And I think this only happens if you choose to do the intersection point. Go back and hit OK. Now, look at what's there, loves. How many points does it show? A whole heck of a lot. Now, when we're talking about what graphs you all need to be giving me, because it says confirm it graphically, this is one of the things that I'm personally very frustrated with. And even in the last, in addition to the stupid computer, that's something else I'm frustrated with. Looking at what's here, we go in, and I look at what I've got right now. This, when it says to go through and sketch what your graph is, now, you go to your paper. By the way, what did we say this came out to be? I'm sorry, what is this, 8 point what? 8.265, is that what I heard? 265, okay, wonderful. Now, all of this, right, this is our algebra. Now, and when I asked you to confirm graphically, some of you think that means like given-ish graph. You know, something kind of similar, but not really. I can sort of draw whatever I want. Anything goes. He's just going to be happy that I put pencil to paper. Are you nuts? Sketch me. X, Y axis. We're only in quad 1 because we can't have a negative number of people, and we can't have negative time. Now, you sketch these. What should your graph have? You tell me just one thing that you are going to make sure is on your graph. You tell me, what's one? Label your axes. Good. Arrows at the end of them. Fabulous. What else? Yes. We're going to have our intersection points and accurate graphs on there. What else do I want to do? Label them with what they are. And by the way, they reference it shortcut. They use functions. They use one and M. And what's the other one? One's called M. What's the other graph called? Or does it not say? Oh, well, label. Sorry, this one doesn't label. Sorry. Label the point of intersection. That's the stuff that needs to be there. This is not an ish. If your if your sketch is inaccurate, you actually lose points. Label one of them as y equals 50. That flat line going across is 50. The other one you label as, you can even put P of, is it P of T or M? What did we name it? P of T, so label that as P of T. But again, I love, how did we get this far? Have you had people before yell at you about terrible graphs or not? Not? Okay, wonderful. So I'm the first one. Did they give you a sticker every time you did something? Oh, you came in today. Wonderful. You're going to get scratch and sniff. Wonderful. Get real. Oh. Now, answer our question C. Based on the model, in what year will the population of country A be greater than 50 million for the first time? You tell me. How are you answering this question? Staring at me is running by a mile. Look at all the work you've done so far. This hopefully should be kind of easy. Magic, you know? Now, here's where we get into a debate. Look back at the question. I take exception to your answer for this reason, just because of the wording of the question. We'll go over the difference in a second. Who's got a different answer and can tell me why they think a different answer would be okay?
2008.
Why would you say 2008? Yeah, see how it's happening in 2008? You know what I'm saying? Now, I'd say this, because I always like to be as precise as possible. The question says, in what year does that happen? Now, if you gave 2009, you are answering a somewhat different question. If you give 2009, that's the first year that the population. So you see how it's like wordsmithing there, like a little bit. It's not trying to be gotcha, but it's really asking you to answer for meaning. There's two answers really that, well, the state would be maybe a little bit more precise than that. Take a look now at question D. I want you to read D, and you tell me what you're going to do to find an answer in D. Read what's there in D, and you tell me what you're going to do to find an answer for D. I got one person who can tell me. what's there. We'll wait for 5. Just tell me what you think you do. I don't need an answer at all. What you'd want to do in order to answer out D. This is showing up on the read in front of you. You're reading it in June. Showing up, everybody's wearing all black. We got 1, 2, 3 of us. Come on. Come on, loves. You're better than this. How are you going to solve? What do you want to do?
Graph the equation of country B.
And do what else? With what? You said graph country B. And what else are you graphing? Because you said intersection. Now, I need you to do something, though. Stop before you go into the calculators, because some of you, this is an enriched level thing. You're going to see right now, there's a typo on here that makes this question unsolvable. How do I know? Look at that model. How do you know country N will never be the value of country B? How do you know? More than that, there's something else you need to say on there. Because he's right. As of right now, the rate is negative, and look at what they start at. What's country A starting at? How much? What's country B starting at? Which one's growing faster? 40. Country A, the first country is, and the second country is losing population. In order for there to be an intersection, the rate on this needs to be bigger. The lower one needs to have a faster growth rate. Otherwise, they're going in opposite directions. So let's do this. This is a typo. See that negative that's there? Change it to a positive. And whomever said that, though, is absolutely right. I can't remember who gave it to us. Go in right now and graph both of them. You're going to tell me where the intersection is. Do I care about quadrant 2?
No.
No. Do I care about quadrants 3 and 4?
No.
No. So let's focus on quad 1. Go back in, and all you really need to do, loves, is change out what your second graph is. Don't graph out y equals 50. So graph out the two functions, and then graph out, let's find our window settings. We can go from 0 to 10. Our y min, let's make our y max, I don't know, how about we make it 100? Now, here's one thing that's interesting. Somebody brought this up before. If you keep in the same graph and you just edit it, did anybody do that and have something different? Something shows up right away. The intersection shows up right away if you just edit the previous graph. In any case, go in right now, use 8. We're going to find our intersection points. Now, what are we going to do in order to make sure that we get full credit? What's your paper going to look like? Obviously, it's going to be amazing. You had me as your teacher. Now, what you're going to show me on your paper is this. You give out a full graph, not a partial, not an ish. You give me a... Let's go to another screen. You're giving me this. What things need to be on your graph? Well, does your graph need to be accurate? Yes or no? Yes. Are you going to go through and sketch your axes on there? Yes. Are you going to put labeled functions on there? Yes or no? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You should have seen the director of math. I was just talking with him outside. Things we need to see. Labels. Arrows. On an exam, you put down a table of points you're plotting. You're going to label your intersection. And label your axes. Here's another thing you probably want to put on here. This is time. This is, for some reason, he fixated on us not labeling our axes, not only with X and Y. Well, actually, by the way, should this be labeled X and Y? I'm sorry, this shouldn't be labeled X and Y. What should it be labeled? T and Y. Does it force you to label the other one, or does it say the opposite Y, or no? Does it say it's Y? Just make so just label that Y, and this be T, not X. Okay? All of this should be on your paper. All of it. Every last bit of it. How much thinking did you have to do? I'd say close to 0. Now, questions on this? I've got one more I want us to make sure that we get a good look at. Take a look at this. It's about environmentalists capturing eagles something. Now, this function here is a population function. How can you figure out what the population is going to be in 20 years? This one here, you plug in 20 for t and evaluate. You need to show the substitution in. This is the part that you're not getting. Can anybody tell me, take a look, if that's the population function, read question B, and what's the setup in question B going to look like? $300 equals the equation. Now, for some reason, when we do this out, you all fall to pieces. And I mean big time. This is 1 plus 83.33 e to the negative 1.62t. Right? Now, you all fall to pieces. I don't even know how to do this. You absolutely do. You're missing one little thing on that. The right side is a fraction. Is the left side a fraction? Oh, it's not? What's 300 as a fraction? What do we do to solve this equation? Hands up, please, when you can tell me. What? No? Too much. Cross multiply. You're going to get the same answer, but it's much less heady or new concept. This is a cross product. So I would go through and have 500 equals 300 times 1 plus 83.33 e to the negative 0.162 t power. What do you do now to solve for t? What's your first step to solve this equation out? Huh. You tell me. What's your first step going to be? Yeah. Divide by 300. Distributing out is not going to make it easier. It makes it harder. Divide both sides by 300. Subtract the 1. Divide by 83.3. Exponentiate, yada, yada. You should be confident in doing this. It's that initial step that causes you to freak out. My advice for you is this. For homework tonight, do any 4 of those word problems that are left. Pick 4 and you do all of them. Understand, to read when it asks you questions at the end of the exam, if you're not doing word problems now, when are you going to get good at them? Do you think that it's magic in June all of a sudden? Get real. Would you rather read one of these word problems or a book? Which one should we do? Word problems or make you read a book? Word problems? All right, fine. See, all of a sudden you love word problems. What book are we reading in English now? Taming of the Shrew? Is this better than Taming of the Shrew? Reading about bald eagles? Maybe? Maybe? Did you see I updated your mark? Okay. Okay.